Nietzsche, the philosopher, had an expression. He said, distrust all in whom the impulse to punish is powerful. And this is the kind of sky that we have in the week ahead, because coming up on December the 8th through to the end of this week, we have a Mars square Saturn. And Mars square Saturn is about that brute force and that hard control and those boundary collisions of life. And in each of our lives, we're probably going to find that things that are coming into being can feel like we have to push against something, hit a wall. It's like trying to drive forward with our foot on the parking brake and another foot on the gas pedal. But in that regard, this frustration or tension in our sky between a god of action and a god of boundaries is useful, because whatever we come up against, we have to decide, are we going to push through it? Or are we going to back down? Because sometimes the answer, it's not worth pushing through. Now, when it comes to the world, this Saturn square, Mars square Saturn energy is very much tied to the situation in the war, to do with Iran and war. Okay, Iran and war. And I'll tell you why. I'm going to exactly explain the situation, because we may find that this week ahead brings us back into stories connected to that country in the world and people who want to go to war with that country in the world. And I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see escalation happening. And I'm going to give you evidence for why that is true in the beginning of this video, which is called the World Astrology section. It's going to be about 20 minutes long. Then we're going to go ahead and talk about how you can handle this energy based on your sign. And you're going to listen today for your sun sign, moon sign, or rising. They're all completely different energies. The sun sign is your true self, your divine spark, your eternal nature. It represents purpose and career related matters. That eternal self has to play a character in the simulation, in the video game of life, and that's your rising sign or your ascendant. And it's just like if the sun was an actor, the character in the movie is your rising sign. If you listen for your rising sign, it tends to be extremely circumstantially accurate. But so does your sun sign, particularly after the age of 42 or 44, and you begin to lean more into the deep qualities of who you truly are without the mask of your ascendant. And then the moon sign is always connected to how you feel and think about life. Our thinking, feeling states are very much about being a human being and often trapped in our thinking and feeling states, unfortunately. Also, the moon can represent matters to do with one's home or domicile, nest, or sanctuary where you live. And so often changes to the moon, like an eclipse to the moon, can eclipse your home. You'll move to another home because your home was eclipsed. All right. Those are some thoughts for you to pursue about how to approach astrology. There are 15, 20 minutes talking about the world astrology, not just Mars square Saturn, but Mercury opposite Uranus for shocking news stories, disclosures, and whistleblowers. That's taking cue from the end of October, around October 29th, and then November 19th, 20th, and the third past Mercury direct coming up this week on the 9th and 10th of the month. So we have a lot of stories going on all at once. It is a very busy week. The most important story from my perspective is the closing square between Mars and Saturn. Let's break that down for your sign, and let's talk about the world astrology as well. Hey guys, welcome. If you're new, my name is Lori Lothian. This is world astrology and all signs astrology using ancient timing tools. I'm a Hellenistic astrologer. We use whole sign houses. If you don't know how to cast your chart in whole sign houses, look under my video for my free tutorial on how to do that. If you have a birth time, you can also, using that same video, find your rising sign. And if you don't know anything else about me, everything about me is under my description box, my Pluto Chronicles Substack weekly newsletter, my monthly and weekly, my everything about me, my Patreon community where I teach classes and get to know you a lot more in depth. And I have a new membership community here on YouTube, and I'll be starting to record videos, put live streams up on the second weekend of December. And every weekend I'll do a live stream, usually on Saturdays. So you can get to know me. And we'll be starting on Saturday, December the 13th or something like that, just in time for the Christmas season. And plus, I prioritize your comments, and there's members only content behind the paywall of being a member here. Very cheap, $33.90, I don't know, $4.99 Canadian. It's $3 American. Okay, guys, my 2025 6 all signs bundle or individual signs are still for sale. If you want to get just your one sign, sun or moon, for example, or rising, it's $22. If you want to get the bundle for $55, you get 12 videos, 2+ hours long, downloadable, watchable, audio video download format, watchable format, timestamp for you with my PDF guidebook for the year ahead. All of that information is in the description box. The $55 price ends on January 1st and it goes up to $66 for the bundle. What a great stocking stuffer for friends and family. Please consider purchasing it as a part of my yearly fundraiser. And this year, I'm applying much of the funds towards a scholarship fund for people who wish to study with me who may not be able to afford the tuition. Now, there's a big sigh here. Every time Mars and Saturn square, it will feel like difficulty because we're not fond of obstacles. We like life that's uncomplicated. We want things to move in flow and ease and grace. We'd like to think of our lives as one big manifestation flow. I think it, therefore it becomes, but that's not always how it works. And this is one of those weeks. You might have started to feel it already as early as December the 4th, which would have been Friday, December the 4th. And it's going to continually be felt pretty well until December the 13th. So we're going to be entering Monday at the apex intensity of this quality of Mars, action, decisions, willpower, where you want to express yourself assertively, where you know it's time to go forward in that direction. And we're going to bump into Saturn, the wall, Saturn, the block, Saturn, the break, Saturn, the hard boundary about something we're trying to create. And this can lead to frustration, anger, irritation. It's even simmering rage because Saturn is cold, dry, and distant, and Mars is hot and angry. And so we get this kind of bubbling anger underneath the surface of our lives, and look for people to be confrontational. You're probably going to come up against conflicts like a boxer in a boxing ring with your kids, your family, your husband, your wife, your friends, whatever. Don't expect this week to roll smoothly through the reality structure that way. In the world, which I'm going to show you the chart, we're going to talk about the war situation with Iran. If nothing happens by the 14th of the month, I really will eat crow because this is a cycle that really reliably relates to Iranian stories in the world stage at this time. The other thing I want to mention is don't be surprised by the shocking news this week because around the 9th and 10th, Mercury opposes Uranus, and we'll get some big whistleblowing disclosures. It could be about Epstein files because it's connected to the midheaven of Epstein, who's dead, but doesn't really matter. His midheaven's alive, even if he's not here. It's going to connect to Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk stories. Trust me, it will. It's going to connect to stories even with Erika Kirk or whatever. These things are kind of blasting out maybe on the 9th, 10th of December. King Charles and Joe Biden and Putin are all scorpionic beings, and Mercury is at the end of Scorpio opposite Uranus on Algol, the decapitation star. The climate challenge here, because we have some asteroids for Typhon, for storms that are activated right now. Deucalion, Noah of Noah's flood is activated right now. We have water trine activated right now. There's very possibly an earthquake coming up this week ahead or into early next week connected to floods, or tsunamis. And I dreamt of an earthquake last night. I woke up in my bed. I'm in Vancouver, Canada, and the bed was shaking. And I'm pretty sure, this is an earthquake. I need to remember in the morning to wake up and see. I thought like maybe a 3.2 tremor or something. I got up and there were no earthquakes at all in my region. So I don't know that I was feeling the bed rumbling. I've been in earthquakes before, or if it was a dream and it's telling me there's an earthquake coming, but I'm giving you my dream warning. I've had one tidal wave dream in the last month as well. And it's the kind of dream that I have where I'm in the dream as a part of the calamity. Like I dreamt 6 months before 9/11 that I was running down the stairs of the trade towers. I used to live under the trade towers in Battery Park City. And I'm running down the stairs with other people. The towers are shaking and there's a fire and we're trying to escape. And I'm running down the escape route, stairs, not the elevator. And I thought that's a weird dream. 6 months later, 9/11. So I dreamed prophetically about world events. I dreamt about, and I told you guys on the channel last year, I had a dream I was on an airplane or a few months back with a bunch of athletic team. There was an young athletic team on the plane with me, and the plane was going down. And as you know, there was a plane crash filled with young athletes. And that was my dream about a month or two before it happened. So I'm not thinking that my dreams are not telling me the truth. There's an earthquake with a flood coming. And is it this week? I don't know. I don't think we're out of the water, out of harm's way yet. Hot water. Let's talk about Iran before I do your sign, okay? Let's talk about what this story could be about. So if you want to go back to the idea of what we call synodic cycles, that means that every 2 years, Mars will join hands with Saturn in the sky and start a 2-year cycle and it will fulfill itself in 4 storylines, 4 acts. The conjunction is the first one, which is like a new moon energy. And that happened on April the 10th, 2024. And it was on April the 13th of 2024 that Iran sent missiles to strike the nation of Israel. Now, there's a backstory. It was a counterstrike to Israel's actions, okay? I want you to know it's not out of the blue that Iran sent missiles to Israel. You go back and you read about what happened, okay? So we can see Iran and missiles and conflict and Israel in the narrative April 13th of 2024. Now, one of the things I want you to be aware of when it comes to this conflict, earlier in the month, around April the 1st, Israel had bombed the embassy in Damascus, and that's in Syria, and killed 2 Iranian generals. And this was a big news story because you don't bomb embassy territory in another country. It's a total against the rules move, killing 2 Iranian generals. Now, Israel has a decapitation strategy. It's their favorite thing to do, is to decapitate people. Israel's sun is in early, like Taurus 21 or 3 degrees. Decapitation star Algol probably was around 25 or 6 degrees. Taurus when Israel was birthed in 1948. And so you're going to say basically something along the lines, they love to decapitate people, right? If you know what I mean. So that strategy is their main number one strategy, but nonetheless, it didn't go over well with the world. It didn't go over well with anybody. And Iran launched a punitive return strike as a way of countering this infringement of international law. And it was very lightweight and wasn't really meant to cause harm, according to missile and political experts, not me. It was just like they had to do it because they had to stand up for themselves. And they were hoping then to say, okay, that's enough of that. However, that was Mars-Uranus conjunction, April the 10th, and on April 13th, they launched the missiles towards Israel's Golan Heights and stuff. But I want you to also be aware that even on April 1st, when Israel did the Damascus thing, we're seeing the buildup for the raison d'etre for this narrative. Now, on August the 16th of 2024, this is going to be the first opening square. We see Mars sitting at 17 degrees of Gemini, not too far off from where we had that full Gemini moon just behind us, meaning that sensitive spot has been reactivated to do with Iran off the Gemini moon. And that Gemini moon was really intense, bending the nodes of fate and creating a grand cross in the sky. So what happened in August of 2024 in the next installment of these stories of this calamitous situation is the following themes. What happened in August of 2024, and sometimes I get dizzy trying to think about this, but it's the opening square. Okay, in August of 2024, I've got my notes, there was yet another problemo. I want you to notice a pattern in what I'm about to explain to you, because Mars is doing the square this week ahead, but you can go back 2 to 3 weeks before this time frame to see the seed of escalation. What was the causal force, or what was the inciting incident, as screenplay writers would say. So the inciting incident for the second square, the Act 2, which was August 16th, Mars square Saturn from 17 Gemini already, was on July 31st. So you may as well just say August the 1st, right? Like beginning August, we had a senior Hezbollah commander assassinated in an Israeli strike on a suburb of the Lebanese capital of Beirut. And in the very same day, Ismail Haniyeh, who's a political leader of Hamas, was also assassinated with his personal bodyguard in the Iranian capital of Tehran by an Israeli attack. Now, come on, right on Israeli soil, right? That's audacious. That happens in July. And then when we get to August, September, there's a huge amount of energy diplomatically to tell Iran to cease and desist and de-escalate. In other words, the United States State Department and, government was basically saying, this is not great that what just happened, but do not go to war. We will protect Israel. Warning, stay away, trying to de-escalate the situation. But by October the 1st, finally, Iran did strike Israel, right? And launched 200 ballistic missiles into Israel. Now, it's interesting that they told the United States they were going to do this, right? And they gave them a warning, and the United States got some of its military people out of the, bases and all of that. So it was, again, a show of force. It wasn't meant to cause harm. It wasn't attacking civilian populations on as a direct strike. It was literally just, we're going to stand back up for ourselves. So I want you to see the escalation continuing and where it's coming from. It's coming from the audacious actions of the nation of IL and Iran trying to do something responsive but not devastating. I just need to say that's what it looks like to me as an everyday person reading this stuff. All right. So we see this continuing narrative going on between these two countries. And now we're going to talk about the next story. Okay. The next story is an interesting one, and it's going to connect the dots, so to speak, to August 16th of 2024. So August the 9th of 2025. So April the 10th of 24, August 16th of 24, that escalation with Iran. And now we have August the 9th of 2025 at 27 degrees of Libra and Saturn in the sign of Aries. And guess what? Almost nothing there happened. Why? Because we moved into different signs. The only thing that happened that I could find around that time was there was a huge amount of conversation going on, okay, about the situation. And it was the nation of Iran going public with broadcasts that the Westerners could actually listen to about their approach to politics with the Middle East, nation of IL. And on top of that, there was a lot of calling out of, right, the International Atomic Energy Agency by Iran at the time for having basically allied with the West and to have created a kind of being an instigator for war rather than just what it was supposed to do, which is to check nuclear armaments and affairs. Now, that August the 9th, 2025, don't forget, in June of 2025, the United States targeted Iran. So there's a lot that preceded August 9th, but nothing happened in August 9th. And I just think that's because by that time, Saturn had moved out of Pisces into Aries, right? It's a whole different story. And then Mars was in Libra. So it's not the same narrative as the other story, which is the Pisces Saturn, and then the Gemini the Gemini and Pisces Mars. So it's a different story. So let's finish up and let's get the world astrology out of the way. On December the 9th, 2025, 9th and 10th, there will be an exact 8th, 9th, and 10th, kind of an exact Mars square Saturn. This is back to the old story. Why? Why is it back to the old story? Because Saturn is in Pisces again. Mars is in Sag, squaring it. It's really connected to the story I've already outlined to you. So there was almost a pause on the August 9th after the June bombing by the United States, right? There was almost a pause where nothing really happened because it was really about a new area of the sky. It was Saturn in Aries and Mars in Libra, cardinal signs, completely different than the mutable signs, right? And don't forget, what is Pisces? Where this all started, April the 10th, 2024. Pisces, what is Pisces? It's seas, it's oceans, it's waters. It's a Strait of Hormuz. It's a seas of the Middle East. It's about the stuff we've been seeing, right? So we shall see what happens December 9th and 10th. I expect an escalation with the Iranian story. I expect on the 9th and 10th as well, with Mercury opposite Uranus, climate disasters, flooding, earthquakes, possibly a few days before and after. I'm also concerned about, well, I'm not concerned. I'm curious to see what will happen with the Candace Owens, Erika Kirk stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on right now, but Mercury in connection with opposition to Uranus, for instance, corresponds to Erika Kirk's embrace of JD Vance on the Turning Point USA stage, for example. And there's going to be something, again, Erika Kirk related, probably coming up for everybody. Shocking news stories around that time of the 9th and 10th, and all of Candace Owens' major disclosures, including the one that she was maybe being targeted for unaliving by the country of FR. That corresponds to Mercury retrograde opposite Uranus. And it's exactly opposite Candace Owens' Mercury and Taurus. And that occurred, by the way, back in time on the 19th of the month. And you go back to October 27th. That's when Candace Owens disclosed that she thought there were Egyptian planes tracking Charlie and later on tracking Erika. Now, Egyptian, Okay. we're going to go ahead and do your sign. We're going to look at the chart together. I'm going to show you what the sky looks like for this week as an overview. Then we're going to talk about you. I'm going to focus on your story relative to frustration, blockage. And I want to remind you that this is going back to April the 10th of 2024, because you planted a seed there. The next conjunction, 2026 of Mars and Saturn is in Aries. Okay. So this was in Pisces. You planted a seed in your Pisces waters of Mars and Saturn energy. What is Mars? Where you need to take action and make decisions. What is Saturn? That have structure, form, discipline, and perseverance. Actions that go the distance. Actions that can persevere and create tangible results. And so your Pisces sky is where you planted the seed. And this is the closing square, the last gasp of energy around it. Now, one more thing. Mars is invisible. He's under the sun's beams because he's going to be born again in Capricorn in January. I'll be doing a big video on that. So we also have Mars kind of invisible, which could lead to maybe some of this war escalation not being visible to the world. I'm not sure, honestly. I'm not sure how Mars's invisibility will end up looking on the world stage when I talked about that Iran story. With Mars was visible, I definitely expect another escalation in that war. With Mars invisible, it's empirical. We're going to look together and say, if Mars is invisible, does this mean nothing happens, or does it mean it happens secretly? Let's go ahead and open up the chart and let's do all signs. So this is the sky. I got it pinned to Aries so I can move the dial forward, and I'm recording on Saturday, December the 6th. So I don't know what else is going to happen in the world. I had the dream about the earthquake last night on December, the 6th, right? Like past midnight. So here we have the story of the sky. This is what it looks like. Aries is right here, right on the eastern horizon line. And I just want you to watch what I'm going to show you. There's Mars at 23 degrees of Sag. He's already engaged within 3 degrees as of about the 4th of December. So as we come into this weekend that I'm recording, there's tension in the sky. We can feel it building up with friends, family, frustration, and getting our own actions going. And then Mars is moving forward and he's going to square Saturn. Now also look at Mercury at 24 Scorpio. He's going to move into an opposition to Uranus. Now, this oppositional energy has been alive October 29th, around the 19th, 20th of November. And it's the third pass because of retrogradation. So we're going to see shocking stories connected to the same theme repeating. And because this part of Scorpio is connected to the Epstein material, it's connected to Erika Kirk's sky, it's connected to her Mercury, it's connected to Candace Owens' Mercury, it's connected to Epstein's midheaven. I mean, that's why it's all involved. And it connects to Joe Biden's son, King Charles' son, Putin's rising sign. So those are people in the stories of shocking news that could come up this week ahead. Now let's go ahead and continue on. Watch it move forward. Watch Mercury and Mars move forward. Right? And now we see Mars at 25 and Saturn at 25 on Monday, the 8th. And so you're going to really feel this today. I'm dropping this on Monday. This video is coming out. And this is an intense square. And Mars is invisible. Look how close he is to the sun. So is in Venus. So Venus can't bring peace, if you ask me, and not unless it's diplomatic back channels. And Sagittarius is a sign of missiles. Okay, let's just call a spade a spade. It's an arrow flying through the air. So we have a lot going on that could be missile related. I hate to say that this week ahead. For sure. Mars is squaring Saturn. My only question is if Mars is invisible, does nothing happen, or does it happen like blindsiding everybody? Are we blindsided by something? We didn't see it coming. Mars at 26, we're still engaged right on the 10th. Mercury now at 28, we're really feeling it. So on Wednesday, December 10th, I go 9th, 10th, 11th. Mercury is going to bring some shocking, surprising news, and Algol is rotting corpses, dead bodies, mass death, unfortunately, and guillotines and decapitation. So unaliving people through decapitation means and or mass shaking earth with water storms are all in the mix. I'm not going to put Deucalion and Typhon and Ceto, the water danger asteroids in. They are in the sky activated by the planet. So we're just going to trust me on that. Let's keep it simple today. Now we see this pretty exact passing through on the 11th. Mercury is kind of on the other side of that. And we'll see that Mars is still at 27 degrees to 25, still engaged by 3 degrees. And when we get to the 12th, then we begin to see it like starting to close out by Friday. So Monday to Friday or Sunday to Friday or late Saturday to Friday, yikes, yikes. Finally, Mercury will move over into Sagittarius, as you can see, and I should probably do a video on that, but people don't like Mercury videos. They're always, no one pays attention to them, so I may not. But Mercury will be in Sagittarius again because he was here and he retrograded at 6 degrees. So you Sagittarius are going through a lot of flip-flopping changes of mind right now, admit it. But Mercury is here for 3 weeks and he gets in here on December 12th. And my dear friend and teacher, Adam Ellenboss, also mentioned that last week, Mercury was in his became visible in the morning sky, morning star Mercury. And that is Mercury last week, also like a herald or an omen or a portent of news stories that are ominous or must be paid attention to in some way. Like that's behind us already, but we may tie some dots together for Mercury's morning star visibility last week and how we may have gotten signals for what's coming this week. So I'm not tracking the Iran news cycle, for example, as much as I should be. Last week, we had Turning Point USA call out Candace Owens to come on their show in person. And when she said I could do it on a live stream, but not in person, they said, no, that doesn't matter. We want you in person or not. That's been trending all over the news last week, or I'd say like last Thursday through to my day of recording Saturday. And so maybe something about that story will come back again, but it's like a portent or an omen of more to come. Yeah. All righty. And then finally, as the weekend comes next week and we're, into the next story and you're looking at this particular sky, and I don't track the moon because the moon is moving all over the place, guys. It's like, what's your mood this next 2 days? Like, who cares, right? Like what your mood is over the next 2 days. But it might be worth noting, okay, that on the weekend on December, Saturday, December 13th, you'll feel it Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, I'd say 12th, 13th, 14th, the sun will trine Chiron. I covered that in my all signs videos for the month ahead. Go watch your all signs video on my playlist. Your video for your month of December, because I covered that. Sun trine Chiron is I believe I did, very healing energy. Something wants to shift in our life connected to a chironic wound in our Cancer sky. We've been working that chironic wound since, 2013. Oh my God, my brain. Sorry. Since 2019 in Aries. And it's just a nice vibe, kind of a softer touch as we approach the weekend. And the weekend is less chaotic and calamitous, in my humble opinion, personally, and as well when it regards to world events. That said, one thing I must mention about the weekend, all right, and it's I have to mention it, is that Mars will square Saturn on the star Sheat, which is a star of water disasters. So as we approach Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, water disasters are very possible. Mars can only square Neptune here like this once every 2 years, but he hasn't, because Neptune hasn't been at 29 degrees for Mars to square it. So it has a once in a lifetime water calamity intensity about it. For sure. And because we also have Algol activated in the sign of Earth, okay, we're talking about earthquakes as well as tsunamis, tidal waves, floods, on and on it goes. So that's a downside of the weekend, Friday, maybe Thursday, Friday through to Sunday. Upside is in our own lives. We could feel a sweet healing touch with the sun trine Chiron. Venus will follow up with that a few days later. So there's some intense attempt to heal something. Chiron is in the sign of war. Let's only hope that we could heal some of the wounds of war. We're starting with Aries. We're going to go through your sign. If you're new here and you haven't liked and subscribed, please consider doing that. If you would like to find out more about me, check my description box. Please grab my 2024-26 individual and all signs bundle product. It's really a fundraiser for my channel. Every year you get me the money for new equipment, to hire timestampers and thumbnail guys, and also to now this year create a scholarship fund for students who want to study with me who don't have the financial means. I'll be teaching a lot of classes next year. My Divine Timing Masterclass will be coming up in February. Sky Reader is usually in the fall. I'm teaching it in the summer because in the fall, I'm teaching my Venus retrograde class. So you want to check all that stuff out and find out more about me by subscribing to my Cosmic Moonshine newsletter, for example, because then I tell you if there's a contest or good news about what's going on. Sometimes I give you guys all kinds of favors you'll never get if you're not there on my newsletter down below. All right. So the thing I want to say, we're going to start with Aries. I want to say one thing. Okay. Like really, then I'm going to get going. You can't move your life forward without conflict. Nobody can. Everybody listen to me here, right? Can you imagine if life had no conflict? So squares are the nature of Mars and they create tension and friction in our life. And this is Mars square Saturn, and Saturn is boundaries and hard work and perseverance and concrete structures. So sometimes you're hitting a wall. Sometimes you're just frustrated under this energy, but it's not there just to frustrate you. A guitar string is tense. It's strung, right? So that it makes this beautiful sound. And so our lives are strung along tension lines of oppositions and squares so that we can actually move forward. Because if you've ever read a novel and there was actually nothing happening because everybody was lying around in a white picket fence making love and drinking lemonade, then it's boring as hell. Tension and conflict drive the story of our lives collectively and individually forward. But more importantly, the drama isn't the point. The resolution of the tension is in a conscious and aware way, because that tension grows us. It makes us better. It makes us stronger. That's what I got for you. Now we're going to go ahead and start with Aries. So we're starting with Aries, and we're going to talk about the Mars Saturn square this week. And it looks to me like you have to remind yourself you planted a seed here for something important. Once every 2 years, there's a possible seed planting from Mars and Saturn. And this one was in Pisces. Now, interestingly, this planting of a seed, this fresh new beginning in the sign of Pisces, you have to go back in time. And I'm going to give you that date. Give me a sec. I'm going to stop the share and get it for us. I should have done that already. Okay, sorry, guys. I got it set up for us now. All right. So am I sharing? That's the quick question. Sharing, not really. Now I am. Okay, so here's the deal. You have to go back to like 1996 and 1994, and before that, 1966. So in 1994 and 1966, we had a Mars conjunction to Saturn in your 12th house. So, go back to 94 and again in 1996. So it'd be like 1994 to 96, 1996 to 1998, that window of time, you were working with seed planting in your 12th house. And depends on how old you are, but that 12th house has meaning. And you might have been working for those years behind you on something to do with foreign lands and foreign shores and far off places, distant lands, commercial enterprise in another country or with foreigners from other countries and making money that way. And that was the year I set up my psychics reading business in the United States. I'm a Canadian. I was living there. But you also could have been looking for enlightenment and seeking spiritual wisdom and finding yourself wanting to have the time alone became quite lucrative, quite beautiful. You wanted to find deep spiritual wisdom in solitude. And you might have begun learning or studying with, or something like that, spiritual knowledge holders, wisdom teachers, etc. I believe I read The Power of Now between 1996 and 1998. If I remember correctly, I could have been pregnant with my daughter, but it was around that time I got more interested in enlightenment stuff. So you're going to find yourself in this regard, kind of recapturing the 12th house energies. Yes. Why? Because April of 24, right, until next year in spring of 2026, you're working with this vibe, right? Action decisions with long-range goals and dreams, long-range planning and concrete structures. Now, this is the closing square in this narrative, and it's going to occur, this closing square, activating, all right, Pisces, right, where Saturn will be this week, and Mars in the 9th house. So you could feel a sense of determination, right, to plow through and get something done. This 9th house, writing, teaching, publishing, learning, pushing through on a legal or lawsuit affair, like legal matters, legalese, pushing through on travel plans internationally, or frustration around that, where pushing through isn't the right thing. You have to slow down, hold off, wait it out. You're stalling out, right? There's just no way this is going to go. Like I'd even say canceled travel plans, air travel problems, you know what I mean? Because the Sag part of the sky is ninth house of international travel, and Sag is air travel. So you might have canceled or delayed flights. I can see that happening for a lot of reasons. Solar flares are one. Boeing took some flights out of commission because of the solar flare intensity. So I would say those are narratives as well. However, the ninth house is also certain types of people. It could be somebody involved in your life who's like a third marriage partner, or it could be involving a teacher or spiritual guide or a mentor or therapist. And you want to plow ahead, even learning something really important you want to learn. You want to be active, proactive, aggressively learning, and you're against this wall, pushing against this wall. Father figures are ninth house, including the sun. Mars is injury, accident, and illness, squaring Saturn in the house of hospitals. Yes, some elder father figure could be in hospital, especially if they are connected to your marriage partnerships, past, present, or future. So yes, there's that as well. You just might come into that story that has nothing to do with you, but it feels intense for you, feels like you have to rise to the occasion and make something happen, although you might be frustrated that nothing wants to really happen. You're not getting the traction you want. Let it rest. Especially this week. Don't push for it. If pushing feels wrong and hard, don't push. I always say don't push, like that you're in labor. Don't push unless you're fully dilated. There's no reason to push yourself in actions and decisions this week ahead. Mars will not be visible again until March, for goodness sake. So just take a rest easy approach to this week ahead, especially also if you make digital income, borderless revenue, and long distance money, which is the 12th house. Take a break. Don't worry about pushing yourself to the next level of some kind of ladder of international career success or money-making success, is my advice to you. And by the weekend, you're going to try to heal that chironic wound yet again in your identity, but it's because you're moving into alignment with purpose, or you're moving into alignment with your true calling, or you're moving more in alignment to better health measures from things that you are learning. All right, now I'm an Aries sun and moon, and I can relate. I'm working on my wine lover's middle way, and I'm taking a great course right now by Annie Grace, so called The Path. So probably I'll be leaning into feeling really good this weekend coming about my progress in the course that I'm taking about better health for my body or my life through understanding that, you know, a wine habit isn't always the best thing. I don't mean like I drink a lot, guys. Compared to people who worry about drinking, I'm definitely not a problem, but I'm still being hard on myself. So there's an example. Anything else I want to tell you about the week? Yeah, of course, I told you already. Shock and awe surprises coming through, maybe 9th, 10th, 11th from Uranus. Could be a money surprise. It doesn't have to be bad. It does sextile Saturn and it does flow to your Neptune. A positive, maybe shocking, surprising money surprise, especially given we get a little bit of love from Jupiter. So look for some positive money surprises, perhaps on the 9th, 10th, and 11th, which will be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Monday videos are my shortest videos. I whip through them as fast as I can. We don't do card draws today. Those are probably mostly on Sundays. All right, Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. It is a sky that really wants you to look at the idea that you started planting seeds like you did in 1994 to 1996, 1996 to 1998. You are planting seeds in Pisces. Pisces is here. Saturn, Mars did the same seed planting for you, new beginnings, back in April of 24. This is to plant new seeds around career gains, earnings, rewards of your career, long-range goals and dreams, and new seeds with new friends, the house of friendship groups and circles. So you keep planting seeds there, and you did before. And now let's think about what you've done. Any air in here? Yeah. Hang on. Oh. Because it's the same story closing out. It'll be done by next spring. And this is your last chance to finish it up through the energy that you're playing with here this week ahead, Monday through Friday, as Mars is squaring Saturn in your 8th house of chunky money, inheritance money, taxes, investment monies, as well as spousal shared resources. And Mars is squaring Saturn in your 11th house of great career gains, including money, earnings, perks, rewards, bonus checks, and more. So whatever is happening here, you could have some career escalation of more positive money in your career space coming in like a chunk, or like, you know, in a one, you know, it's not a paycheck regular, it's some kind of chunk of money. Taxes, tax rebates, insurance payouts are here too. You could have a feeling that you're in a windfall. You might feel like really fortunate, like, wow. But you also have frustration, right? Because Mars is like, we're going to move forward on this. And Saturn says, slow it down, go careful, yellow light. Mars is always looking for the, green light. And so there's just some kind of maybe friction or frustration. You could have frustration about money with a sibling, one older, with a friend, with a money situation, conflict with a friendship circle. That would be a frustration for you. There might be something you want to be able to do that involves a group of people, and yet you have spousal monies that you share, and there's not an agreement on how to spend that money, for example. And if you're trying to like round up a business partnership or business deal with someone you consider a friend, there's a delay, a stall, there's a holdup of some kind. Don't push through if you can avoid it. This kind of energy is probably best to bend instead of break, with how you can negotiate with that. Once you get Mercury into your 8th house later in the week, on Friday, let's say, you can begin to much more effectively negotiate the frustrations on money issues with other people. Okay. We don't want to miss the idea that there's a surprise coming up probably on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and it could be positive with the trine to Jupiter, but this is the same thing that could bring an earthquake. You're going to have a surprise about money because it's your 8th house and you are the one with the wealth star Algol activation Uranus, although you could lose your head about a money issue. But Jupiter, he is a benefic and he's flowing to the whole story. Some money issues with the siblings, money issues regarding local environment and nieces, aunts, uncles, cousins, neighbors, but it's going to work out maybe even though you're surprised. And a financial or shocking bit of information or news coming from a significant relationship partner. All right. So business or love could be in the mix this week ahead, midweek. For instance, your love partner might have an opportunity, career opportunity that surprises them, surprises you in this kind of chart. Is it good or bad? Well, it's just surprising. So look for that kind of information. Or your partner may come into some windfall or inheritance money and you're finding out about it and you're like just hearing from your partner about this financial money opportunity coming up this week. As we close out towards the weekend, it's a kind of a sweet spot of healing that chironic wound and your addictions and self-undoing. You might have a turning point breakthrough as you dive below the egoic consciousness, get some good therapeutic work in and have a turning around your being your own worst enemy Friday through to Saturday. You've been working on that chironic wound since 2019. And now you might feel a turning point. You also might have some good financial news that heals a wound around self-worth and money coming through on the weekend, especially if it's connected to people from far off lands and distant shores. And so look forward to that in your life. This is going to be a nice short video. No, I know, guys, but I do a lot of long form. So please like and subscribe if you like this kind of content, share with friends and family, etc. Even though I'm not usually this fast. Gemini, sun, moon, and rising. First of all, the week gives you that opportunity to hit the wall or not hit the wall because Mars is squaring Saturn. What do you want to do? Push through or back down? Sometimes it's better not to push, but you never know because where push comes to shove might not be your problem. You have somebody else in your life, perhaps, because it's 7th house. It can be a long-term business partnership person, significant marriage type relationship person. It can be somebody to do with an audience member or client. Sometimes Mars is the trolls for people like me, and I have a Gemini sun, so I could hit troll land really hard this week, Monday through, Friday. And so Mars is this aggressive energy with a sharp sword aimed your way, yet squaring Saturn in your 10th house of career. You want to go back in time to the seeds you planted in Pisces. You did this in 1994 to 6, 1996 to 1998. You kept planting seeds of something new that you wanted to create back then in your career, in your reputation zone. And now you're literally having to fulfill it through this tension in the house of other. Now, a business partnership deal, that could be coming your way, but you can't get it off the ground. There's some kind of delay. The contract's not getting signed. The legal matters are, taking forever. And you're just frustrated. Or you might be finding your partner in long-term committed love, if you're married, for example, is going through some very difficult times in their career right now. They're feeling frustrated, stuck. They're hitting the wall. They're, up against this intense energy. And so you're going to find that this is going to be their problem and you're just watching it from the sidelines and you can't do much about it. Now, for a surprise this week, kind of, I'd say the 9th to the 11th, Mercury will be opposite Uranus. What are you going to do? You're going to have a surprise or an unexpected development blessed by Jupiter in the finance house connected to work. Money surprises connected to work and work success coming through your sky midweek, completely separate than the frustration story. Okay. A nice little financial pop, for example. In work, money, career, earth houses that you didn't necessarily expect, especially if you make money from international companies, foreign shores, foreign lands, borderless income, and digital revenue. Look for some nice little upticks there. I say Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I even say Monday through to Thursday. Healing a chironic wound on the weekend. The wound is about how you connect to long-term love, how you connect to an audience and marketplace and relative to your career goals, gains, long-range dreams and visions for your life, and even your friendship circles. Look for a nice vibe, Friday through Saturday, a real healing with friends, a real gelling with a friend, really feeling alive and vitalized by time with a friend. All right. I'll be spending dinner with one of my dear friends that Friday night. And I haven't seen her for a while. So I can see that being a real vitalizing healing around chironic wounds, around friends and friendship groups. Like a lot of us Gemini energies have been dealing with problems with that since 2019. Not fitting in, anyone? Try not taking that unnecessary, unneeded protocol intervention during the pandemic. Then you really don't fit in. You become not only a pariah and can't go into any other establishments, but people think you're wacko. Now they think we were right. Moving on to Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. You guys planted a seed in watery Pisces in 1996 to 1994 to 96, 96 to 98. You were working it. You were trying to really make it happen in the 9th house. Did you go to higher education, university, college back then? Did it work? Were you trying to plant seeds in book publishing deals and publishing worlds? Were you writing fiction or something? Were you publishing books? I have a girlfriend who was doing just that. Cancer girlfriend. Were you busy trying to work things out with a third marriage partner, or were you creating were you busy in university, or were you teaching? Were you traveling? Were you traveling a lot? Was that a time of great international travel? You were really seed planting in your 9th house. The meanings of the 12 houses PDF is in my description box for free. Go get it. So I can't cover every meaning here every time. So one of the things about the 9th house is that it's a Dharma house. You want to be aligned with purpose. You want to be moving in alignment with true north. You want to find your way in what meaning and purpose in life. And you're replanting a seed like you did between 94 and 98 for meaning and purpose in your life in some regard. This seed planting energy is playing out as always because it's still in play till spring. It started in 2024, April. It finishes in spring of 26. And therefore, this week's sky is opening up a last closing chapter, and it's tension between the planets. I might have forgot to say that for Gemini, but it's getting ad nauseum to repeat myself. I should say in the beginning, listen to this intro and then understand the principle. But anyway, frustration and hitting the wall in your work or in your health or in your debts or with your pets or with a rental property agreement, connected to legal matters, connected to courts, connected to legal paperwork, challenges regarding travel for work, professional travel, delays, restrictions, and difficulties. Challenges with your, I could say you're like, say you have a guide, a mentor, or a therapist. You might be really pushing against them and not jiving with what they say is wrong with you, especially if what's wrong with you, they say is your own fault. Addiction, self-undoing, and shit like that. When Mars is in your 6th house, you work really hard, but he's invisible. So maybe no one appreciates your hard work. And you might have a blowout because the 9th house can be like the human resources department. And you might be having some professional blowout moment where you really want to get down and say, I'm not working this hard for this little recognition. But, ask yourself how much diplomatic touch might be better than a confrontation. And this guy could open up new ways for you to get what you want without having to go into fighting mode, right? So look at under the surface. I kind of like the idea that you have a nice kind of shocking surprise of some sort, a bit of news coming in connected to windfalls and pennies from heaven. And so that's, Mercury, Uranus. You might have some unexpected windfalls, some unexpected pennies from heaven, maybe connected to your own luck that you're carrying with Jupiter here. He's retrograde. You were due this money, or you knew this luck was coming your way. You were waiting for it. And Saturn says also legal and court matters and unexpected financial success, or unexpected pennies from heaven from a sibling, one older, two older, or two younger than you, and financial uplift, financial increase for you, and surprises midweek, Tuesday through Thursday. And then chironic healing on the weekend, where you're going to feel like something is just kind of smoothing out when it comes to your work and your reputation, your career and your purpose and your work, kind of vibing out as a kind of feel good moment on the weekend, Friday through to Sunday. It'd be kind of thing where with Venus there, you might get a lucky break in work, more money in work, a raise or promotion. It may not be visible till the end of July, but it's in the works. The talks are in, what do you call it? Like you've got the job, but no one's announcing it yet, that kind of stuff. Whew. I think I'm an auctioneer sometimes. Past life as an auctioneer. Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign planted a seed back in the day, 1994 to 96, 96 to 98. You planted a seed. Go back and listen to the intro. You planted seeds here in your 8th house, because that's where you kept co-joining Mars and Saturn. And you did this again, April of 24 to spring of 26. You're in the middle of this, planting new seeds for more financial success with inheritances, spousal support, alimony, palimony, money from investments, money from insurance payouts, taxes, tax situations, money from banks and loans and mortgages and all of that. So you planted those money seeds back then. You planted it since April of 2024. And in the context of that seed planting story, this is a week where there's a final closing chapter. Mars is squaring Saturn. Mars is squaring Saturn from your 5th house. Now, good news and bad news. 5th house is people, your lover, your children, right? And there's a square. So there's going to be some tension about money connected to romantic partnerships and shared resources, or your lover, romantic partner, or money tensions could come up this week with a child. All right, adult or young, I don't care. And so you're going to have to go through a frustrating or a tense moment of time, Monday through Friday, in those themes that I'm discussing for you. However, Mars in the 5th house is also entrepreneurial and creative types of energy. And you might have been busy, creative, and active here. And then now you've got a blockage of some sort. Now, the blockage could be psychological, because the 8th house is your own psychological stuff, or it could be a financial block for real. Just like, you can't get that a loan you want for your, entrepreneurial business, or the bank stalling, or there's challenges regarding money from others and your own ambitions creatively, entrepreneurially, or etc. So that's just a thing. You're going to live through it this week, Monday through Friday. Ultimately, every story takes you back to the 8th house. How much money do you have? How much money can you get from other people? Where is your money coming from that you're not working for it? You're working on increasing that kind of money through action and discipline. And that's what you're looking at this week. Now, speculative investments in the stock market and gambling and risk taking is the 5th house. And don't be too risky, because it looks like a blockage here. So you might want to gamble, take a risk, buy a risky, stock or something. I would not do that under this sky. I don't think it's a good idea. Good fortune is in the 5th house, but there's some blockages or some frustrations regarding good fortune. Financial fortunes can be challenging here. You think it's a good luck opportunity and you can't get it to work for some reason. Some surprise, Tuesday through Thursday, as Mercury goes into the opposition to Uranus. Surprise from somebody you live with, surprise connected to your property, land, and real estate, surprise connected to career and home, surprising information or news coming from someone that lives with you, in this case, particularly a child that lives with you. And because of Jupiter's trine, it may be not necessarily a negative surprise, right? It doesn't have to be a difficult surprise, but it can deal with secrets that your child has been holding and then just revealing to you. And it could also be surprises that your child is having a child, and you might be finding out about it. Maybe that's some of the tension in the sky, because maybe they can't afford to have a child, and you're thinking, am I going to hold the bag for my kid and their pregnancy thing? They are their partner, that is. Oh, I got to get comfortable here. Hang in there, guys. Next, I think I'm going to invest in like one of those chairs that looks like Captain Kirk at Starship Enterprise, something super comfy and super commanding. I'm always on a sofa or something. Really? Okay, that's what I got for you. Leo's, heal that chironic wound about joy, fun, play, pleasure, international travel, pregnancy and fertility, love and sex. Heal a chironic wound around travel and father figures as well this coming weekend. Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. The sky is opening up a chance for you like you did between 94 to 96, 1996 to 98. Well, you started that same reset button again, April of 24 to spring of 26. You're resetting your marriage house right over here. Go back in time. What were you doing like 94 to 98? Were you getting divorced, getting married, getting uncoupled, getting recoupled? Well, you're kind of back on the same story in 2024, April to the spring of 26. So is it about, some of you are too young for it to be about marriage and committed love, but some of you aren't. So go back and compare notes. Here you're going to either be like working since April of 24 to solidify, concretize a relationship and take the necessary actions moving forward to make that relationship stronger. And that's a theme. Now, this is the closing testing of that theme, the last chance to see if it's going to work. Stronger means getting married, moving in together, buying a property together, getting engaged. Those are the themes we're talking about. Now, with Mars in the fourth house squaring your marriage house, there's tension. You might be arguing with your significant other. You might be in disagreement with him or her. And there may be tension in the cohabitational home, or tension about moving to a new home, or whether you should move into a home together. Also, you might be busy with tension around legal contracts to do with property and home, especially if there's construction or renovation involved, and there's tension with your vendors or something like that, legal tension, contractual legal problems. One of the things about Mars in the fourth house is injuring yourself in the home. Be careful here. This is common. So, but it may be more like you're likely to have your partner injure themselves in the home. So be careful this coming week, Monday through to Friday. If you're alone and you're single and there's nobody in your life, don't start a relationship under this. Don't go on a first date. You're going to regret it. You're going to bake in tension and conflict. Some of you might be wanting to change your home, move from home, or travel from home, but there's frustration in making it happen. It's not happening fast enough for you, but take a deep breath and relax, because this tension will give way by Friday, and you can address it later in the spring when you have more at your capability at your disposal. All right. So the surprise is Tuesday through Thursday, as Mercury is opposite Uranus. It could be a surprise travel opportunity, surprise educational opportunity, surprise directions, unexpected regarding father figures, siblings in general, surprise. Jupiter says blessed. So a lot of sibling energy, one younger, one older, two older, sibling surprises, three older, like siblings all over the place here. So surprises regarding siblings. Possibly a sense of a windfall that's due you coming from father figures in a surprising, unexpected way. Maybe some surprises, according to the story, to do with your relationship partner and their life and their siblings and their story and their surprises. Your partner in long-term committed love may have a job opportunity that surprises them and you. And this job or work opportunity is coming into your acknowledgement. You hear about it. Surprises from your neighbors and your childhood friends as well, Tuesday through Thursday. And, you could go back to the end of October and November 19th to see the maybe touch points for this energy before. Maybe completely different. Sun is trining Chiron in the weekend, Friday through to Sunday. Though it's kind of a nice feeling, guys. It's like you might want to look at healing an ancestral wound around money, healing a shame wound, betrayal or abandonment wound, connected to your childhood family of origin, woundologies, connected to money, connected to shared resources. Like if you believe that you're not worthy of, wealth, and your childhood gave you these weird stories about money, then you're doing a nice little healing on that during the weekend, right? Healing that kind of, those kinds of issues. Not too bad for healing addictions if it's connected to ancestral addictions, like your whole family had a history of this problem, and you might be feeling like you've got a handle on turning a corner on it on Friday through to Sunday. Now, Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. The first thing I want to point out is that you have to go back to 94 to 96, 96 to 98 to compare. That's when you last had this kind of cosmic reset button of Mars action, Saturn structure in your sixth house of health and work. You might have done a lot of 94 to 98 health improvements. You might have been working really hard at getting tangible results in your work life. You might have also experienced a lot of changes and challenges, or significant shifts regarding pets or rental properties, whether you're the leasee or the landlord or the leasee. Those are things that you went through 94 to 96. Then back in April of 2024, you did a reset in the same place here. And it closes out in spring of 25. It's a great reset for changing your life regarding health, right? And getting better health protocols through exercise and structure, combined forces, especially in Pisces, flowing movements, Tai Chi, Qigong, swimming maybe. But also it's your house of work. And I want you to ask yourself, how has it been in your work life since 2024 April? And how does it compare to 94 to 98 for those of you who are old enough? Because this is kind of like you want to consolidate Mars in his joy, sixth house joy, it's his joy house, action and decisions and aggression and passion and determination and will and finish line strength in work, right? Because you're going to finish the story's over in the spring next year, right? So that's what you're working on. Now, I like it a lot that you've got this energy, even though Mars is squaring Saturn in the workhouse. I do have some good news for you. We'll get to that. The frustration may be regarding travel and professional stuff. You might have a professional travel obligation, maybe not that far away. It could be a short distance journey, but it may feel even a commute, just frustrating, like might be irritated, angry. You might feel like, things aren't moving the way you want. The travel could be inconvenient. If it's not travel, it could be something to do with marketing and selling, job and work, teaching and writing, job and work frustration, right? Especially if you're a social media person, maybe you're not getting some traction in the marketing or selling or teaching and learning environments online, and you're just frustrated. Could be a conflict with a sibling, or it could be a conflict with a neighbor. Those things are possible this week as well. This frustration will pass. Let it pass. Surprise, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Surprise is connected to money, chunky money, inheritances, commission payouts, severance packages, sign-on bonuses, money, Jupiter, career, blessings. Okay, career, work, money, blessings. Career, work, money, blessings. So isn't it funny? You got that good news going on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you're surprised. But at the same time, you're having to deal with a sense of frustration. Frustration may be because your neighbor's angry, your siblings uncooperative, your local environment, workout studios are all closed and you can't get healthy. Be careful. Mars in the third house can be injury from travel, driving an automobile, accidents and stuff like that. So be more careful around those themes as we approach the week ahead, for sure. And then you heal a chironic wound in your long-term committed love and business partnerships and audience and marketplace. And it feels like you're trying to soothe out regarding that wounded relationship or the wounded partnerships in your life. And it may be that you're going to manage Friday through Sunday a trip and a getaway just to help heal or smooth out relationship stresses in your life, or do something in the local environment that's a lot of fun Friday through Sunday with someone in your life that you care about, and it has a healing and feel good vibe. Hey, Scorpios, I want you to go back to 94 to 98. Okay. So it's really 94, 96, 96, 98. Those windows of time are connected to Mars conjuncting Saturn in Pisces. Pisces is your fifth house. You might have been working on romance, fertility, creativity, artistic projects, entrepreneurial, self-starting businesses, sexuality, all of that. And you kept like really working it, right? Passion with structure and long-term connections to others. And, you know, for the fifth house, it's also about children. So you might have been highly focused on your children at that time, or they may have been very important and taking in the foreground of your life from 94 to 98. Now you have that reset button in 2024. It happened in April. It doesn't expire until the spring of 26. And from the context of this reset button, right, which is also a house of good fortune and fun and joy and play and pleasure and education sometimes, or your natural talents and gifts you might want to learn how to use, that part of your sky is active right now. And this is a closing chapter, the last act. And Mars is squaring from the money house. It could be like you want to take a creative, artistic project and run with it. You want to take a course to do with your natural talents and gifts, and money is a problem. It's a money issue because you're squaring off maybe with a child regarding money, a romantic partner regarding money, a pleasure and joy and creative and entrepreneurial desire to succeed at something, and a financial frustration. You might want to spend or have to spend money. Venus is the lord of the house of expenses, and she's with Mars, and you have to spend money on something that's going to frustrate you. You're not going to want to spend on that child, that romantic partner, that creative thing, or the spending is blocked. You're trying to get the money for it and you can't seem to round it up properly. This too shall pass. Take a deep breath. Don't push unless you have to. Mars will be visible in March. You could say money could come better in the spring than it could come now. And Venus is visible, the money goddess in the money house. She's visible again at the end of January. So financial frustrations will ease in the new year. So relax, relax, relax. Mercury's opposite Uranus, and that's a surprise, but you have the Mercury energy. So you could be delivering some surprising news to a significant long-term relationship partner, or they could be losing their head and you're a little bit surprised at how off their rocker they are. But because Jupiter is in a beautiful flow to the whole thing, more or less, we're probably going to say something like it all works out in the end. And it's even to the point where the surprise could be about legal matters and your partnership in business or love. And yet there's going to be some flow to make it happen, to make it work. Unexpected news that you're going to be a grandparent, that's in this chart. Or unexpected news that you might become a parent. These are possibilities for the surprising energy Tuesday through Thursday. On the weekend, Friday through Sunday, healing a chironic wound about your work or your health, especially as it applies to your dietary habits and styles. What a beautiful sky to ditch the agenda of cigarettes, weed, vape, wine, whatever your bad habit is. It looks like you could come to a nice turning point on the weekend. And you might have a chironic healing around job, work, and career matters where you've been frustrated a little bit about being in alignment with the right work and your money. And you may have a nice touch of a feeling like it all is coming together Friday through Sunday. All right. Sagittarius is kind of like a sky that opens up with frustration. But go back to 94 to 98, because in that window of time, Mars and Saturn were joining in Pisces, and Pisces represents your fourth house of property, home, land, and real estate. Sagittarius is 94 to 96, 96 to 98. What were you doing when it came to property, home, land, and real estate? Sometimes Saturn and Mars are construction projects. You were building a new home, renovating a home. You could have been moving your home and looking for a long-term home, a solid home, a structure where you could land and relax. Go back and think about it. Maybe you came into some legacy wealth, inheritance from family members as well, 94 to 98. Now, this energy was replanted in April of 24, finishing up in April of 26. A seed was planted in your fourth house. Your fourth house is again on the foreground. And Sagittarius, with this placement, you might even be, I think even an Italian friend I know who moved from Italy to Canada in the 94 to 98 period. You see? Now we're back to home, homeland, domicile, property. What's going to happen here? Well, you do want to make changes again. You might want to sell a home, buy a home. And I do like that you could do that, right? Because of Jupiter supporting you in the house of banks and loans. So we'll talk about that. But this energy is frustration because you are trying to push forward with a Martian agenda. You have determination of the sword and the decision and the action and the ambition in your court, but you're hitting a wall. The wall is in the house of family of origin as well. So one of your family of origin types, your mom or your father or your grandfather, somebody up the line, might be pushing back against what you want versus what they want, right? That's all it could be. or people that you live with. It might be someone you're cohabitating with and you are not talking about the same thing. You have an agenda, they have a different agenda, and there is a pushing, shoving energy. So this is going to dominate Monday through Friday. Don't injure yourself. Okay, don't blow a gasket with Mars in your sign, especially your hips. Okay. It could look like you're going to climb a ladder in the home that no one should ever climb because it's unstable and you're going to fall off. Do not do that. So that's the only warning I give you Monday through Friday. Then we're going to talk about the surprise Tuesday through Thursday as Mercury comes opposite Uranus. A surprising bit of information around a pet, a debt, a rental property, a work situation, or a health situation. But with Jupiter blessing it, it could also be really good for being able to suddenly pay off a debt, to get some kind of bank loan, mortgage financing, credit refinancing, property refinancing opportunity. It could also be a surprise or unexpected development, again, regarding that property, land, and real estate, and the word rental property. So maybe you can suddenly rent out your home or rent out a property for you to live in, and you didn't expect to see that happen. Look for the surprise to connect you to surprises regarding pets. Unfortunately, yes, maybe aging out elderly pet and a surprise with their health, or surprises connected to matters to do with your own health. But if it is your own health, I look to, things to do with shoulders. Yeah, urogenital, shoulders, maybe feet, maybe digestion, right? I'm picking up, Jupiter, Uranus, all that. So a bit of a surprise coming up, maybe a health surprise. Yeah. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, not the end of the world. Jupiter says it'll work out. And then we move into the weekend, Friday to Sunday. It looks like you're going to have a touch of healing here, chironic healing of your sexual and romantic life, or your relationship to a child, or to fertility, pregnancy, or to creativity and artistry and romance, and a chironic healing as you vitalize up you gin up a new vitality, a new joy, a new powerful sense of purposeful new, that nothing can take you down, nothing can destroy your strength of being, and you're healing lots of these challenges, chironic wound in particular around sex, love, and romance, but also with regards to children. All right. So it could be a nice romantic weekend, especially with Venus in your sign. If you're single, go date. I know she's invisible, but you're going to look attractive to the opposite sex, or to whatever sex you're interested in. You're going to look very attractive, and it might not be a bad time Friday through Sunday for dating for single Sages. Hey, Caps, Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. It is a sky that opens up. Please tell me I'm recording. Thank God. Go back to 94 to 96, 96 to 98, those 2 years. We're all connected to a reset button that happened 2 years in a row, with Mars connecting to Saturn. Mars connecting to Saturn in the house of your siblings. What things happened with siblings back then? What things happen with local neighborhood, shorter distance travel? What things happened back then to do with your writing, communicating, teaching, marketing, selling, or the online world? You've got mail, AOL, it's probably that era, right? 94 to 98. So whatever was happening back then in the third house matters, where you're trying to accomplish something, basically, this lasting and enduring, that also involves action and discipline and focus and determination. That energy is back again in April of 2024. Now, the third house can be particularly about the sibling one younger, but it's a sibling in general house. So there may be some sibling focus coming up for you during this window of 24 to 26, spring to spring. And in the context of the closing act, Mars says frustration. The frustration is 12th house. Mars is bucking up against Saturn. You might have frustration regarding travel, frustration regarding sibling relationships, frustration regarding neighborhood and neighbors. But because Mars is in the 12th house, you might not be conscious of all of it either. This is one of those houses where you need to do some introspection to see that you might actually be feeling angry. Oh, am I angry? What was the first clue? I'm grinding my teeth. I'm squinching my face. I'm shaking my fist. You sometimes can't tell when Mars is in the 12th house that you're angry, right? Now, this is a house of hidden enemies, and maybe you're going to come up against a hidden enemy, someone who does not have your back, and you might have to push against some problems with that person who turned out to be not a great ally, right? So there's that thought. It could happen, may not happen, especially a friend who's not a friend, right? Mars rules your house of friendship. I think that you might find yourself as well yearning to travel to a distant shore or far off place. I don't know, maybe with Venus for love related reasons, but Venus is invisible until the end of January. So it's some stuff about that can be very confusing right now. But if you do want to do that, because this is a house of travel and this is a travel energy, frustration and delays regarding travel, Monday through Friday. Finally, what about the surprise, surprise, surprise? Yes, unexpected surprises are coming through. It could be a windfall for you. Okay, this is good lottery ticket energy. So if you want to go play the lotto this week, please do. I really encourage just one ticket takes to win. Don't do stupid things like buy, $10,000 worth of tickets because an astrologer said this. Let's be serious. Just buy one ticket or two this week because Uranus is in the house of good fortune and winning money from speculation. Mercury's in the house of windfalls and pennies from heaven, and there could be unexpected financial surprises. You could also have unexpected financial winnings from a sibling 3 older than you, Jupiter in the 7th, or a sibling 1 younger, or siblings in general. So financial surprises vis-a-vis siblings as well, and they may be very exciting. You may hear from a friend you haven't heard from a long time. Look back to October 29th, this October 19th. Were you connecting with friends from the past at that time, especially the 20th of November? Now you could have some new forward momentum with that friend. You could even under this kind of sky have some romantic surprise or breakthrough coming through the sky with the 5th house. But Venus is offline and not really looking at it. But if you have a romantic surprise, it could be a romantic surprise regarding travel somewhere because of Saturn. But yeah, I don't like Venus offline. So if it's a romantic surprise and Venus is invisible, you could be blindsided by a romantic, unexpected surprise, including from spouses from the past that you've been offline with. You haven't talked to your ex-spouse for years or something. And suddenly they're back in the game with some story to tell you, some surprising information or news. That's just some thoughts. Let me know Tuesday to Thursday, kind of where the surprise came from, the unexpected news. And then you're healing on the weekend, a chironic wound connecting you to wounds around where you're going to belong, my true home, or wounds around your mother relationship, or wounds around your childhood, and doing a profound healing from deep solitude, soul work, and introspection on Friday through to Sunday. Hey, Aquarius. You know what? I am one of you. And what we got going on here, besides Pluto in our sign, which defines everything about us. I do not suffer fools gladly right now. I'll tell you that much. It is a kind of a story where I think one of the things you're going to notice is that the frustration you feel here, Mars in your 11th house and our 11th house, squaring Saturn in the 2nd house, may involve friendships, right? Because it looks like hard speech with friends, difficult talks with friends, constraining discussions with friends. So it's a little bit of a gnarly Monday through Friday with that, but it's deeper than that because I want you to go back to the big picture of 94 to 96, 96 to 98. Why? Because in those 2 windows of time, you were dealing with a reset button and a reset button in your 2nd house of money, earnings, finances, and resources. And you began to do that same reset in April of 2024. And it ends in spring of 26. I incorporated my astrology business at last, right? Which allows me to save money from my government, which otherwise would tax me at 65%. So I wasted a lot of money before I incorporated. I forgive myself. But nonetheless, I will tell you that you're doing structural financial resets like you did 94 to 98. And that's when I started my psychics readings business, you see. And I got my own bank account for my business. So it's very similar. And now you're coming to a frustration turning point, if that's a part of the story. So money that you are going to be conserving or saving or whatever, you might have a conflict about it with a sibling, one older, a friend. You might have a conflict regarding your career gains in particular and your agendas for conserving resources. You might have frustration with a goal or a dream that you hold for yourself financially and not feeling like it's in reach. Don't push, because Mars invisible is a weakling. Venus is the money goddess invisible. She's not giving you the goods. So when it comes to career gains and financial gains from your career, some of you might feel a sense of delay or frustration. And that's just a feeling Monday through Friday. Otherwise, watch for a verbal conflict with a friend or a sibling, one older. And on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Mercury will be opposite Uranus. And this is an unexpected, shocking surprise connected to home or place you live. Mom and dad, or mother, she's alive. Or surprising, shocking information or news connected to your career vis-a-vis your home life. But with Jupiter aligned and supporting it in the house of work, it could still work out that it's good for you. Like there's an unexpected development regarding work and home, especially rental properties. Jupiter is in a rental property house. Uranus is in a home, news and information. So unexpected news regarding property, rental, home, and money, because this whole thing becomes very kitey here. And so unexpected developments regarding money, home, property, work, career, finances. Now, it's an interesting time because I think the surprise can be very positive. Uranus is on a wealth star, but it's also on a decapitation star. Like if my landlord suddenly said, I need to move back into my place. Yes, you've got a lease, but I'll buy you out. I'll give you 2 months rent to leave. I mean, that could be a surprise. It would give me some more money all at once, and there's another place I wouldn't mind moving into, but I can't because I'm locked into my lease till June. That kind of surprise could happen. So funny because a girlfriend told me about a place she has for rent that's available and it's quite affordable. Way better than my place, 2 bedrooms, 2 bath. And maybe I would take it, but I'm locked into a lease. You see what I'm saying? Although I do like my views here. So there's things like that going on right now. And it may impact where you want to live, especially if it's rental property. If you have pets, unexpected surprise expenses regarding pets. Or you could have a health surprise, but Jupiter's protecting your health, which is very good. Trining Neptune even brings miracle turnarounds, So I'm not as worried about that as anything else. But if you're going to have a health challenge or a surprise about health, it could be about dental work. All of a sudden you crack a filling, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It sucks ass to have to get it fixed, right? Then on the weekend, Friday through Sunday, you got a chironic wound. You're going to heal a little bit over that wound around your local neighborhood and your neighbors and your travel plans and your writing, communicating, marketing, selling, and social media land. Woundedness since 2019, trining the healing wounds around friendships, local environment, travel, connections to siblings, and a really nice vibe Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And last but not least, best and always best, Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. You're going to talk about me talking about you because I think a lot of you are going to resonate with what I'm about to say. If you go back to 94 to 96, 96 to 98, in those years, you had industrious energy because Mars action decisions, Mars connected with Saturn in those years, every 2 years, and said you're going to work hard for stabilized long-term gains. You're going to be disciplined and perseverant at what it is you want to accomplish. And so therefore, 94 to 98, what were you doing? It is possible you got married. It is possible you worked hard at your job. It is possible you were, focused on property, land, real estate, and where you want to live. It's possible you were making babies, but whatever you were doing it with perseverance, discipline, hard work, and tenacity. And back in 2024, April, that same tenacity was given to you as Mars and Saturn joined in your sign again. So Pisces sun, it's your career. Pisces moon is about your home life and mood and emotions. And Pisces rising is any part of your life. Now, as a character in the sim, right? The simulation. Now, go back to April of 24. Know that it ends in April of 26. What are you doing to be about determination and hard work and discipline and structure? Again, regarding the themes I told you about: children, home, marriage partnerships, career ambitions, whatever you chose to focus on. Now, I'll tell you, that this is a closing square. It's the last chance to finish the story up for several years until like another 40 years. So could you be looking at this frustration in the 10th house squaring you to do with things to do with people connected to your career? Like you could quit a job, you can quit a career path. Could you be frustrated with matters connected to your visible reputation in the world? Could you be frustrated with matters that, connect to what Mars is all about, which is you want to take some definitive action in the top of the sky? Like I'm taking this move and everyone look at me go, and you can't get it going because you've got this blockage here, and the blockage is you. You've got your cold, hard stop sign up or pause sign. You're a crossing guard and you're looking up at the Mars going, you're going too fast, slow it down. I'm not following that lead. Mars is invisible as well. So it's really strange. Venus is up there. She always does rule money and love stories. So again, some frustration with money and love, and she's invisible. So she's not helping out either until the end of January. So you've got a lot of like frustration this week ahead. And you're going to feel, I think, a lot, Sunday, Monday through to Friday. Authority figures in your life, someone you look up to, a father figure, someone that's you esteem, that you think has authoritative power, and you might have a blowout with that person for sure. Or you could just quit your job, or your job quits you. If you wanted it to work that way, you could. I would let it ride, because I think that if you just get through this week, you might have a more tempered view of the situation. There is a surprise come. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. Jupiter rules Mars in the 10th house. So again, you could also have some tension with a child, with a romantic love partner. Those are there as well. Now, when we move into the next part of the story, I think you're going to look at Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday with some surprising information or news coming from the 9th house. 9th house has lots of themes here. Unexpected surprises from a sibling, two older, one younger, unexpected surprises regarding long distance travel, foreign lands, foreign people, and foreign places, unexpected news or information or surprises regarding themes of children and grandchildren, unexpected news and surprises for travel abroad or local. And maybe it's not necessarily bad. It's just unexpected. And then as this unexpected travel opportunity arises, it does talk to Jupiter in the house of children and romance. So unexpected travel because of children and romantic, or grandchildren and romantic and children related issues. And also connecting to you. You are the sober-minded, realistic one. But if you're going to travel unexpectedly, or travel comes to you, your children come visit you, and it's a surprise. Or you're going to go visit your kids, or romantic partner is going to come visit you, or you're going to go visit them. On and on we go. And, Mercury does rule the house of your long-term committed love, like your marriage type partnerships. And there may be some surprises that your significant other is lobbing at you that you didn't expect as well. And so you don't have to take it all on, right? You're like, oh, that's interesting. And how are you going to react to that surprise? On the weekend, Friday through Sunday, it looks to me like you could find yourself having a nice healing of a chironic wound to do with money, right? Money, earnings, resources, or your teeth. So possibly there's a 5, you feel better about your teeth, you feel better about your financial resources, you feel better about how the world sees you in the world. Friday through Sunday, you might feel a bit better about your self-esteem and self-worth as well, as the sun is trining the chironic wound on the weekend. And then a little bit later next week, Venus will follow suit. So there's a nice healing of your financial worth, your facial appearance, your teeth, your self-esteem, your values even. It's got a nice flow. It could even be a nice opportunity for professional advancement in a way that feels really good, especially increasing your financial resources on the weekend. So that's what we've got for you. I don't think I have an outro today. Look at that sun. I often have these little outros at the end. I just taught my Sky Reader, not my class, but my goodbye party with my Sky Reader crew. We have the after party about a month after our class ends. And it was so much fun. And I was so delighted by how many people were so excited by what they learned in Sky Reader, and gave me great feedback, by the way, for how to do a better job next year. I already know how I'm going to do it better next year. Going to make it a little longer and a little slower. But the people who loved the course loved the course. Hopefully some of you did. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And I'm going going to get my ass moving because I've been sitting all day long and I need to go for a walk. And it's the end of the day here in Vancouver, Canada on December the 6th. Please subscribe. Subscriptions are down for me and other astrology channels. I'm talking to my YouTube manager next week and we're going to talk about this. It's not the views. Some gnarly person told me my views were down because I talked about Candace Owens. No, my views are 1 million a month. They're not going down. The percentage of people that have subscribing off my views is going down, and I don't know what it is because I'm not changing my content. It's not way down, but I normally have minimum of 3,000 subscribers a month for the last 3 years. And last month it was 1,700. This month I'm like clawing my way up again. So if you do like the channel and you haven't subscribed, please do. Thanks, guys. Ciao, ciao.